everyone. Welcome to the Horror Realm. I'm Travis Bruce, and today we're back for another indie horror spotlight. Today I have with us, he's the director, and he has a new movie out right on streaming. You can find it on Tubi, follow some wherever you find your fun indie horror movie, and it's called The Yorkie Werewolf. I have the director, Michael D. Basio Ornelas. Did I pronounce
DiBiaseo.
that right?
Yeah, go
DiBiaseo
on.
Ornelas.
Okay.
I apologize.
No worries.
Welcome to the Horror Realm, Michael.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure, man. So tell us a little bit about the Yorkie werewolf.
Where to begin? The Yorkie Werewolf. The title does a lot of lifting, doesn't it? Yeah, I guess I could start there. I mean, like, it was just a wild idea. Um, it's my fourth feature, technically. Um, and, when things started opening up again after the pandemic, started to think of like, what are we going to shoot next? I've done work in all sorts of genres, and my wife is my producing partner, and I was making calls, talking to people. I had a friend who maybe had a lead on some funding for a low budget horror, and I said, well, I have this wild idea, which was literally just the title at the time. And he's like, yeah, I mean, if you write it, we can try to pitch it. And I was driving with my wife, and I gave her the sniff test, so to speak. So we were in the car, and I said, all right, I have a pitch for you. It's 3 words, and I just want your gut reaction. So I said, the Yorkie werewolf, and she was just like, she just like kind of burst out laughing. And that's a big deal because she will tell me if she doesn't like an idea. 3 word idea that gets. And then from there, I just wrote the script. With everything with lockdown, and it's tough being an independent filmmaker all the time. And it's been really tough the last like 5 or 6 years. Um, I thought if we're gonna make this movie, like let's have as much fun as possible. So I started writing. It kind of spelled out of me. It's a very ridiculous movie, and so I just with every next kind of page, I tried to think of like what what's the wildest thing that could happen next that we can afford to shoot, and just really have fun with it. And we carried that all the way through, really to now, like marketing the film, but definitely during pre-production and production. I'd never had a budget come together faster. That original opportunity didn't work out, but I pitched an investor and got a good amount of the money, and then we were able to put together the rest. Um, and that's the gist. In terms of like what it's about, it's about a teen witch who gets turned into a tiny werewolf, and she gets thrown into a decades-old war between the creatures of the night in her small town and the local mafia. So it's kind of like mobsters versus werewolf and vampires and witches.
Well, that seems like a lot is going on there. Now, when you were making this movie, I can imagine you had fun. Is it fun to make a indie horror movie that doesn't take itself too seriously?
Yeah, that's a great question. I like I said, I've worked in like a bunch of genres. I started out in like, crime and romance and art house movies and some silly comedies. And this one is definitely more of a comedy horror. Thankfully, our DP, who ended up becoming an associate producer on the movie, Seth Grant, he's a big horror fan. Not that I'm not, but like he just has more of he's more studied in the making of horror. So he brought a good vibe to that. But yeah, it was like, Evil Dead 2 was like a big um, inspiration in terms of like the feel and getting those serious at points. And even as I think about it, like maybe more because it's like then because they just really let loose and just let themselves be silly for them. Um, and yeah, it was just I also knew it was the biggest budget that we'd had, but it's still good. And so knowing just myself, my interests, my talents, my inspirations, I was thinking, let's stick with the comedy to have fun, and we did hire some people who did some amazing work with practical effects. So there's like it's gore. There's gore in it. It's got more slasher vibes than like jump scares and stuff. And we had fun with that too. So we kind of just had to wrap it all up together. There's enough violence for sure.
But I can imagine, so like you go into an investor and try to get a budget, and with the name, the Yorkie Werewolf. I mean, that's most people are like, I'm curious. Like even when you said that we scheduled an interview, you said the Yorkie Werewolf. That had my interest already. I didn't even think about what this movie is about. I'm like, the Yorkie Werewolf. What does that mean? What does that look like? Is it important as a filmmaker to have a title that draws in something in the audience?
Yeah, I mean, it never, it doesn't hurt, right? I mean, that was such a huge advantage of this one from the start. It's like, and that was another reason it was so easy, like, comparatively. It's- We got a distribution deal and stuff like that. Um, it's you can't force it, right? But like, right away if you want to watch that movie or not. I would think some people on Letterboxd they didn't get it. Plenty did, but like some people, there are also some reviewers that are like, I don't understand why you didn't expect what you got with the title, but yeah, I mean, because they and a goal of this one was to position ourselves for more commercial success. Like our art house fans were very proud of them, but it's hard to find enough audience to kind of make your money back. It's like unless you got a couple of lucky breaks, which we almost did, but didn't. Mm. And I could just see it, like exactly what you said. Like, that was my original idea. And then even from
Because
there, I could see the poster, I could see it on, you know, Tubi or whatever, and it's just like the title does a lot of lifting. If you nail the trailer or in the concept art, which just wasn't not I wouldn't say it wasn't too hard. We just hired great people. Um, Before you know it, people are clicking. Before you know it, they're watching the trailer. It's not a long movie, and before you know it, they watched the whole movie. So it seemed like serendipitous.
because I've never made a film before, but I'm a huge movie lover, especially indie horror. Grew up on this stuff, and I was born in the early '80s, and I grew up in the '80s, early '90s, and the VHS, the video store, going to the local video mom and pop or the blockbuster, and a lot of times, yes, the big budget movies were on the shelves, Child's Play, Nightmare on Street. But then you get into the demonic toys, the Puppet Master, the basket case, stuff that you never even heard of. And the title and that poster, that front cover is what drew you in. You did not know what the hell you were getting. And like I was too even young to even read what the hell was going on in the back, this the description of the story. It was just the poster and the name is what drew me in. And I think that was for a lot of people back in the day. And I think that's something that's missing in modern indie horror is how important the title of a movie and the poster can draw in horror fans.
Yeah. It sounds like we're on the same age and had similar experiences. Like at a certain point, like you watch so many movies, when there's only a limited amount in the store, and that you just kind of start expanding what you're watching. Like I used to have friends over, um, and we would watch. They'd come over, and, they'd sleep over, and the four or five of us would just watch three or four movies or five over the course of like a couple of days. And so if you do that enough times, you're gonna like, run out of those bigger budget things, right? Start kind of going down side roads, like watching all the Evil Dead movies, like all the Monty Python movies, which are both very big. So yeah, I'm totally with you on that.
Now, I have a question. I've never asked this question before, but going back to those days, when I would rent a Nightmare on Elm Street, they would have in the previews and advertisements, they would have advertisements for low budget indie horror movies, and it was like big budget filmmakers and companies. They didn't mind promoting the little guys. How come that's something that you don't see as much today? How come big budget horror
Hmm.
companies like A24, Blumhouse, they don't, the saying is drop down the ladder to the smaller guys anymore?
Man, how much time do you have? It's a weird, I think it's been getting to this place for a long time. I've been doing this, I guess, for almost 20 years now. It's like some of this is going to just be personal experience. Like most of my movies were made in New York City. I moved out of the city, and this was the first one we shot. Not well, I shot a couple in Rhode Island where I grew up, but I was always based in New York. But this was the first one since we moved to Vermont that we made. And but even in New York, like I consider myself um, very much someone who embraces the independent spirit. It's like, we're making the movies that we feel need to get made, or we need to make them. And we're going to do it our way. We're going to keep creative control, and just bring it to market and just take on that risk. And that's fine. But I've been on the periphery, especially in the New York independent scene. I've been out to LA a bunch of times. Um, just it's for lack of a better term, they're just like this kind of everything's got this corporate vibe. It's a credit, I think, to filmmakers and producers within the system that do get it, whether it's the Hollywood system or the independent system, which is really not that different anymore. That they're still able to make such amazing work. But I think in terms of like uh, moving forward in careers, I mean, it does happen. But um, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think you tend to see it happening lately more so with just the stuff that breaks out because um, it's got something particular about it that's causing it to stick out. I mean, I think Yorkie Werewolf does stick out, but I don't know. I can't think of a more mainstream horror filmmaker who might look at it and say like, oh yeah, let's help this guy get
Yeah,
some attention. I mean, Kevin Smith made a couple horror movies or one horror movie, so if he saw it, maybe he would do it, but I don't know how much he does stuff.
because I mean, I'm a huge baseball fan as well, and I would, when it comes to a farm system, I would assume that like Dimensions and these big name companies would be looking in the '80s almost as their farm system to see
Yeah,
somebody who sticks out and oh my goodness, this person has a following. This person makes great movies. People. This is something original. This person, this, and I would think there would be more eyes on indie horror because I mean, listen, I still go to the movies. I'm a huge movie fan. But the shit that's coming out recently is terrible. Weapons was good, but but the stuff I've seen recently, Final Destination 5, it's the same old shit over and over again, and there's no creativity there. It's literally rebooting after rebooting, reimagining legacy
yeah,
after legacy, and like I know that's going to get the casual horror fans, but I mean, as a diehard horror fan, which is not that many of us, like we're definitely craving and asking for something more.
yeah, yeah. And I think that's again, like I think that's the corporate vibe and the move to like making movies around IP instead of like making movies because they need to get made or because they would be a wild idea and why not try it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think it's still getting done, but it's just harder. I think the way that it does work is when a filmmaker does something interesting, and either through festivals or just people watching it when it's out, like some producers who have the ability to level that person up. I think that's when it happens. Like I will say, like I've had meetings since Yorkie came out with producers that are making um, significantly not huge movies, but significantly bigger budget movies than Yorkie Werewolf, who are interested in like and distributors and sales agents and like what we're going to do next. So maybe it is happening. It's just slower and more spread out and not happening as often.
So is there a possibility we could be seeing the Yorkie Werewolf Part 2?
I mean, sure, I think so. You know, I think it still depends on like on whether the movie like breaks out. Um, people are consistently watching it. That seems to happen with movies where it's like there's the normal spike when it first comes out, and you need it to like, kind of keep going. It doesn't, but it also doesn't like plummet. It's just like I don't know. New people are watching it every day and either reviewing it or doing stuff on social. People are watching it. Someone did a screening in a barn last week, of the movie. We've had pop up screenings at all venues and other places. I mean, I've been to a bunch like locally in New England, or particularly in Vermont, where we shot the movie, but we screened in LA a month or two back just because someone watched it on, even if it was on Tubi, and someone showing it like, I love it. Can I swear this game? I was like, sure. As long as I can. Kids, and like, um, yeah, I mean, I have notes for even two sequels potentially. It just depends on, if we get enough people watching this one and, you know, anything else that might happen.
So as a filmmaker, especially in horrors, and we horror filmmakers love sequels. Now, take us into the mindset of you as a filmmaker. When you were making Yorkie Werewolf, in the process, you were thinking, hey, there could be two or three sequels. How did you leave the door open? Like mentally, how were you like during the whole entire process? Okay, I have to leave the door open in certain areas, so it kind of makes sense if there is a sequel.
Yeah, I mean, I did, when I was writing the script, and it just kind of naturally happened that towards the end, like I left something a little open ended. It wasn't overt, like, well, there was a post credit song, but it's just a joke. And it's nobody would call it that, which is ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, it's more like, when we started screening the film, especially seeing how people reacted and how much they got out of it, and like it's a really there's it's no greater, or at least among the top honors as a filmmaker, especially at a screening where you can like see it in person and talk to people in person. But when people watch a movie and they want more of the story or characters, like I mean, it's a nice feeling and it's humbling, but it's also, you know, that gets me excited. So it's like, okay, like what, especially, like again, we had so much fun with this one. It's so ridiculous that there's also a part of me that's like, okay, can we have more fun? Can we be more ridiculous? And even like, you know, uh, a lot of stuff we can maybe do more cheaply because we've done it once and can be more efficient about it. And between that and maybe if we can get a bigger budget, like could we get like what like how crazy can we get?
Mhm.
And I would love that opportunity, but we'll just have to see.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing more of your work. By the way, Michael, where can everyone find you and your work?
um i I am not super active um on social these days. I'm oddly have been more on LinkedIn after Twitter did what Twitter did. But I am pretty active on Instagram. So, and Fair Show Films, the production company that my wife and I started here, has accounts on TikTok and Instagram that are slowly gaining some traction. So that's probably the best place. Those are the best places. So,
Right. We can find all your movies. Well, let's go to IMDb, and I'm pretty sure all your movies are on Tubi and streaming services.
yeah, my first feature is definitely on Amazon, and I think it's still on Apple. Um, Our second is in a lot of places. I was actually just picked up a real short also, so like they're chopping up into little pieces for vertical video movies. I don't know. We'll see. Um, and that's it. That's called The Sleepless. That's in a bunch of places. And then Yorkie. Um, a lot of people watching on Tubi. A lot of people watching on Amazon. It's also on Apple. Folsom, I think you mentioned. That's definitely on there. A lot of pretty much everywhere.
Sweet.
DVD. we've sold a pretty good amount of DVDs so far. We got one
Oh,
every.
nice. Where can I get DVDs from?
Um, that I should know. Definitely Amazon. But
Amazon.
yeah, there she is.
Love that cover. Love it.
Yeah, it's a fun one. It's the first DVD that I bought in a while. It's my own. Oh man.
Well, Michael, listen, it's been a pleasure having you on, man. Listen, everybody, get over to Tubi, Amazon, wherever, and go and watch the Yorkie Werewolf.
Yeah, it's good with
Well,
it's good with friends. Good with friends. 420 friendly, especially.
yes, I'm definitely going to be 420 friendly when I'm watching this because it sounds like one of those kind of films.
Yeah, I would recommend it.
All right, everyone. Well, thank you for coming to another edition of the Horror Room. I'm Travis Bruce. We'll see you next time. Take care.